Most people don't fall in love. They latch on to the first person who gives them relief from themselves. That's it. It's not deep, it's not romantic, it's just purely survival. You didn't even like them for real. You liked how they made you feel, how they distracted you, how they kept you from sitting with your own shit. You didn't choose them, you just didn't want to be alone. That's why you ignored the red flags, excused the disrespect, and stayed longer than you should have. It wasn't love, it was just purely avoidance. And the truth is, a lot of you guys knew that or know that currently. You just didn't want to start over. But at the same time, the pain of staying becomes worse than the fear of leaving. So stick around to the end so you never have to negotiate your self-worth. We've all had that one person in our lives who has humbled us. And I'm not even talking about in a cute way where you're perceiving things from another perspective that's positive. It's more so in a way of like, what the fuck was I doing or what the fuck was I thinking type of way. That was your canon event, or if you will, your wake-up call. The moment where you learn the difference between being wanted, like in a sexual context or in a temporary context, versus being valued. And the reality is some people either grew from it whilst others got bitter. But I'm specifically talking to the ones who grew from this, aka the ones who started paying attention, the ones who finally started seeing patterns instead of making excuses. So let's first start with the first archetype of person, the emotional leech. These are the types that typically love telling you how everyone did them wrong, like their family, their friends, their job, or whatever villain that they try to label in their lives. Meanwhile, they've never taken accountability for anything, ever. And if you try to help these types, they'll get offended. And if you even dare to set boundaries, then you're too mean or you're cold or whatever dumbass label they'll try to label you as. Because here's the thing, they don't want a partner. They want a host because they're a bunch of parasites. I know I sound harsh when I say that, but that's the reality. Once you get used to being drained like that, you'll start confusing chaos with connection. The two cannot coexist. So you gotta have a level of common sense to realize like these people are not good for you. Especially number two, the validation addict. So when someone finally gives you a little bit of attention, even just a tiny little bit, to the point to where it feels like love, it's not, and you need to run. Because these validation goons or these validation fiends don't want love. They don't. They want a whole audience. For example, you got dudes flexing online on the internet for girls that they'll never meet. Or you got girls out here who are fiending for someone to text them or posting fresh start type of quotes and thirst traps every time she feels ignored. Or here's what's even better. When you text them, they're dry. And when you stop texting them, then suddenly they're outside again. And this is what's called, and some of you guys are probably familiar with this, the push-pull method or the push-pull type of childish games where they'll dangle, let's say, like a carrot right in front of you, right? Give you a little bit of attention, like give you pieces of the carrot, take it back, make you chase them because they like that chase, that dopamine they get from that. When they do that, that comes from a place of insecurity. And I gotta let you guys know that you can't necessarily build anything real with someone who treats attention like it's currency, especially when that currency is coming from people who aren't even you. And guess what happens when that attention stops being enough? They don't grow. They chase a fantasy because they're fantasy chasers that, to be honest, don't happen to fall in love with you as a person. They technically fall in love with how you make them feel about themselves. Everything has to feel like a pitch perfect movie, perfect vibes, perfect responses. Like you ever like notice like when you're texting somebody, you kind of like overthink. One, if you're texting someone, you constantly have to overthink what you say to them. That's not the right person for you. But like those types usually expect you to be pitch perfect and not come with any flaws. But the crazy thing is, the second you show those flaws, they act like you betrayed them because they never loved you. They loved the version of themselves that existed around you. And when that fantasy cracks, which it always does, they don't leave and heal. They just look for someone new to play that same role that you played previously. Like you ever notice like the people who always hop from relationship to relationship to relationship? Those are the types of people you don't want to fall in love with. And you guys probably know a few people like that in your lives that operate that way. But I will say this, and this is just from my own biased perspective, and you guys can comment below if you agree with this. I don't think these people are as bad or worse. I mean, they're kind of on the similar wavelength to the type of person that I personally like to call the situationship specialist. Like these people only want the benefits that comes with being in a relationship, like trips, excessive amounts of dates, gifts, attention, without having to choose you. Like they'll act like your partner, they'll talk like they're your partner, but the moment you ask, what are we? Typically it's girls that ask that questions. Guys, please don't do that. You get hit with, I'm not ready yet, but because I'm not ready, still don't go anywhere. So let me translate this in plain English for you guys to understand. And this is not me calling you dumb. I just want to like make sure this sticks. I like you enough to keep you in place, but not enough to claim you. They keep things blurry so that way you stay hopeful to the idea that they might want to stay committed to you one day and make things official. And then you, on the other hand, oblivious. What you end up doing is that you wait, thinking maybe one day they'll choose you, but They don't. And here's a brutal truth that I gotta tell you because I care. Peace feels boring at first because your body or your nervous system is used to chaos. Your sense of normal or normality becomes dysfunction. That's straight up what it is, because when you're so used to people playing games and all these negative, toxic traits that certain people that you tend to fall in love with possess, anything that clashes with that or that feels healthy or healing to you feels wrong. But the thing is, it doesn't have to remain like that, because once your mind adjusts, calm starts to feel like a superpower. Literally. A lot of you guys who have dealt with this, because this is a canon event, yet again, weren't stupid for loving them. You were just hoping they would be someone they never had the capacity to be. But now, after what I've told you, you know better. Or at least I hope you do. So before I end off this video, just listen to what I'm about to tell you and keep this ingrained into your brain. Stop negotiating your own self-worth for ain't shit people. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Dream big and take action. I'm gonna see you guys. Peace.